Ethan Carter was the kind of man who had everything: a multi-million-dollar empire, luxury cars, and a penthouse overlooking the entire city. But even with all that wealth, his home felt emptier than ever. 6 months ago, his wife, Amelia, passed away in a tragic accident. Since then, Ethan had buried himself in work, trying to fill the silence that haunted his nights. He avoided her favorite places, her music, her scent, everything that reminded him of her. But one evening, while going through her old bookshelf, Ethan's hand stopped on a familiar book, The Garden of Hope. It was her favorite novel. When he opened it, a folded, yellowed envelope slipped out and fell to the floor. His heart skipped a beat when he saw Amelia's handwriting on it, "To the one who needs this the most." Confused, Ethan sat down and carefully opened the letter. Inside was Amelia's graceful handwriting, each word soaked in warmth and mystery. "If you find this, Ethan, it means life has tested you in ways we never expected. But I want you to do one last thing for me. Go to Willow Creek. Find a woman named Grace Thompson. She needs help, but she might also help you more than you think." Ethan stared at the letter, unable to process it. Who was Grace Thompson? Why had Amelia never mentioned her? The next morning, curiosity and love for his late wife pushed him to follow the letter's trail. He canceled meetings, got into his car, and drove 3 hours to a small town surrounded by golden fields and quiet streets, Willow Creek. When he arrived, he asked around until he found a modest little house near an old church. Paint peeled from the walls, and the garden was wild with weeds. A young woman opened the door, holding a small child on her hip. Her tired eyes widened when she saw Ethan, a tall man in a dark suit standing on her porch. "Can I help you?" she asked softly. "I'm looking for Grace Thompson," he replied. "That's me," she said, shifting the little girl in her arms. "I think my wife knew you," Ethan said, handing her the letter. Grace looked puzzled, but when she saw Amelia's name, her eyes filled with tears. "Amelia Carter," she whispered. "Oh my God, she saved my life once." Ethan listened as Grace told her story. Years ago, when she was pregnant and abandoned by her fiancé, she had no one to turn to. She was broke, hungry, and hopeless, until a stranger helped her. That stranger was Amelia. Amelia had found her crying outside a cafe one night and offered her food, a place to stay for a week, and money to start over. Grace never forgot her kindness, but they had lost touch after Amelia moved back to the city. "She told me once," Grace said, "that kindness is a seed. It might take years, but it always grows somewhere." Tears blurred Ethan's vision. His wife had been helping strangers in secret, planting seeds of love even he hadn't known about. Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't leave. He saw how hard Grace worked, 2 jobs, caring for her little girl, and still finding time to volunteer at the local shelter. Her spirit reminded him of Amelia, strong, kind, and full of light despite pain. He started helping her quietly, fixing the fence, bringing groceries, donating to the shelter anonymously. But more than that, he started healing. The more time he spent with Grace and her daughter, Lily, the more he felt something he hadn't felt in months: purpose. One evening, as the sun painted the sky gold, Grace found him sitting on the porch, staring at the horizon. "You don't have to keep helping us," she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. "I'm not sure who's helping who anymore," he said. Grace sat beside him, and for a while, they said nothing. The quiet was peaceful, not empty like before. "Amelia was right," Grace whispered. "Sometimes the people who seem lost just need someone to remind them they're still here." Months passed, and Ethan kept returning to Willow Creek, not as a CEO, but as a friend, as a man rediscovering life. He sponsored the local shelter in Amelia's memory, gave Grace a job at one of his companies, and became a father figure to Lily, who quickly grew attached to him. One day, Lily handed him a small drawing, a picture of 3 people holding hands under the sun. "That's you, Mommy, and me," she said proudly. Ethan's eyes filled with tears as he realized Amelia's letter hadn't just led him to help someone, it had led him home again. Ethan finally framed the letter and placed it in his office with a small plaque beneath it that read, "Kindness never dies, it finds its way back." And though he would always love Amelia, he knew she had sent him a final gift, a chance to live again through compassion and connection. Grace and Lily didn't replace his past, they added a new chapter to it, one filled with warmth, laughter, and gratitude. At the end of it all, Ethan stood in front of Amelia's grave one last time. "You always knew what my heart needed," he whispered. "Thank you for giving me them." The wind blew gently, rustling the leaves around him, almost as if Amelia was answering, "You finally found hope again." And as the story of the letter spread, it inspired thousands, reminding everyone that one small act of kindness can change more lives than we imagine.